Bert's arrangement of this Cyril Tawney song was probably inspired by David Graham's 1964 recording of it. There's a link to that in the comments below, and also some other links about the background to the song. Bert first recorded it with Pentangle on Solomon's Seal in 1972, but he used the same guitar arrangement for solo performances after that, and it's essentially the arrangement that he sent to Mel James in the 90s. He included not only 2 different MIDI files, but also staff notation, no tab, just notation, and also this handwritten note. Let me read it out for you if you can't make out his handwriting. Dear Mel, here's Sally. Remember, each string of the guitar must be on a different MIDI channel, 1 to 6, or the ones with bent notes need to be, ? And each channel's pitch wheel must correspond to -4/+4 to get it to sound right. Good luck, Bert. So I'm guessing that Mel had the same software that Bert had, and this was instructions to Mel to get the MIDI file to play correctly. Now, I don't quite know what setting the pitch wheel to -4/+4 might mean, and I haven't bothered to try that on my own software. But here are some images of how Bert's MIDI files look when loaded into, first of all, into Sibelius software, which shows each of the 6 channels separately. You can see the strings are in order from the bass string at the top down to the treble E string on the bottom. This is just the 2 bars of the vamp, by the way, the main verse sequence. It's in concert, in bass clef. It looks somewhat chaotic because it's not been quantized to the beat. This is exactly how Bert played it into his software from his MIDI pickup, and it's not clear whether he was following a click track. I'm guessing not. I'm guessing he had a count-in, possibly a programmed count-in, but then just played it as he felt it, which is why it's all out of the bar lines. So here is how that file sounds using Sibelius's default piano sound. So you can hear there's some dropouts there, and there's some occasional little wobbles where the software couldn't seem to translate some very quick ornaments. There's a little pull-off on the 4th string. Obviously, I'll show you that later. You probably also heard a rather nasty wrong note towards the end, and that seems to be the bend that he was talking about. It's actually a slightly bent A, or rather a bend and release from a B flat, but it sounds at the same time as a B flat, so must have been an overdub, and presumably he meant to edit out the B flat later on. The strange thing is that in his notation, which you can see here, he does put an A natural in that place, but on all the recorded versions I've found, including a few live ones on YouTube, he always plays that chord the same as all the others, as an F7 sus4 with no A in it. I'll demonstrate all these chords later, of course, but before we get to that, here's how the MIDI file looks when loaded into Reaper. Here you can quite clearly see the different durations of each note. I've actually quantized the notes here to the 8th note, to the quaver. And here is how the cleaned up version sounds, quantized correctly and with guitar sounds added. Okay, let me show you how those chords work on the guitar. The way he played them on the MIDI, the way they're notated in his notation, but also with he varies it slightly on the live versions. So here's the first pattern. Okay, it's an F7 sus4. Both of these bars are based on an F7 sus4. No third in the chord. So F, C on the bass, open D, and then the E flat on the first fret, and with the E flat, the B flat on the third string. Okay, and then the end of the bar, very quick pull off on the from the E flat to the D. Okay, second bar, this time, instead of it's E flat, sorry, the F comes down to the E flat on the fourth string, and then with the E flat this time, open G string. So both together. Each one ending the same there. That seems to be how he normally used to play it. But on the notation and the MIDI, the second bar has a slightly different rhythm on the end. We'll just do that again, both those bars. Those two bars go around 8 times for the verse, both lines, both the first two lines. Then comes the tricky bit. Okay, the B flat, bass on the B flat and the F, fifth and fourth strings. And then from the first fret on these two up to third fret. So essentially it's a B flat chord with a 7th and 9th on the way. Now he doesn't play it as the bar. I find myself sometimes instinctively going for this bar. Not a very nice bar, but it helps you keep the bass note going. So you come off that third fret back to the C and the A flat. Then there's this little pull off on the fourth string, F to E to C. I'll do that nice and slow. That's the rhythm. This E might sound a bit weird after the E flats in the F chord, but that's how he's written it and how he seems to play it. It's obviously very quick, so you hardly hear that note. Now he chose to play it not with the bar, but with staccato, 2 staccato bass notes to start with. Like that. It breaks up the smooth rhythm of these first sus chords. Makes it quite dramatic on that third line. Like that. Obviously if you're playing just a staccato bass note here, you've got to watch out for the risk of a pull off to the open string there. That goes back to the sus4. Then there's this. flat. So it's a B flat, F, A flat. Then the B flat again, sliding up to C, then the G to the C, and lastly a little finger on the F on the second string and the open first string. Then it's back down to a C on the second string, combined with coming back to that chord. So step by step through that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just go through that fingering at the end of that. So how you can see him play it. Going back to the index finger on the C, which means the thumb on the bass F there. And he comes back after that first F. He'll bring his index back. And the index then does its usual thing of going between those two strings. Okay. But you can organise the fingers coming down from here so that you can keep the index there and not use the thumb. Use the middle finger for the C. And you can, and that you can now hold that note then, which is quite effective, I think. Okay, once more through that last section, see if I can get it all together. Something like that.